Of Mr.B and Friends, Truth Seekers, 1979, an adventurous year. My friends and I, full of youthful exuberance, decided to make a detour to Cairns on our return trip from the Gulf of Carpentaria. A decision that added a few extra days to our journey, but promised an adventure we simply couldn't resist. Our journey took us through the heart of Queensland, a land of contrasts. From the sparkling waters of the Gulf, we plunged into the rugged outback, where the sun scorched the earth and temperatures soared to 42 degrees Celsius. That's a searing 107 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity was a tangible presence, heavy and sticky, clinging to us like a second skin. In the midst of this unforgiving landscape, we set up camp. A humble setup, really. 5 kerosene tilly lamps served as our beacon in the wilderness, casting long, flickering shadows over our small gas cooker. A campfire, we knew, was out of the question. The dry, brittle bush was a tinderbox waiting to ignite, and an airborne cinder could easily set off a blazing inferno. As dusk fell, the air was filled with the soft strumming of Colin's guitar. Derek, ever the culinary adventurer, was tinkering away at the gas cooker, the aroma of his cooking wafting through the campsite. And me, I was doing what I did best, sitting back, savouring the warm, smooth taste of Jack Daniels as the outback night unfurled around us. But even as we settled into our evening routine, something felt amiss. The night was clear, the stars a brilliant tapestry above us. But the usual symphony of the bush was conspicuously absent. The crickets, the rustling leaves, the distant call of a night bird, all were eerily silent. The only sound was the strumming of Colin's guitar and Derek's cooking. And so, under a sky full of stars, in the midst of a silence that seemed to hold its breath, our detour to Cairns took an unexpected turn. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another time. Suddenly, the usual noise of the crickets ceased. A blanket of eerie quiet fell over our camp, an uncharacteristic hush that felt almost tangible. The stillness was unusual, even for the middle of nowhere. The cacophony of crickets, a constant backdrop to our camping experience, had abruptly gone silent. If you've ever spent any time in the tropics, you'd know that the nights are anything but quiet. The air is usually filled with the symphony of crickets, frogs, and other nocturnal creatures, all adding their distinctive notes to the night's chorus. But not this night. This night, the silence was deafening. You see, in the wild, sudden silence usually signifies danger. It's a primal warning, an instinctual reaction that permeates through the animal kingdom. When the crickets stop their serenade, it usually means they sense a predator nearby. But we weren't in any typical jungle, and the threat wasn't any ordinary predator. The silence persisted, stretching on for what seemed like an eternity. It was as if the world had taken a breath and was holding it, waiting for something. The only sounds were the soft clink of Derek's cooking utensils and the occasional strum of Colin's guitar, which seemed to echo unnaturally in the oppressive quiet. 15 minutes ticked by, each second heavy with a tension that was almost palpable. We exchanged glances, our expressions a mix of confusion and unease. But even in our uncertainty, there was a sense of anticipation, as though we were on the cusp of something extraordinary. And then, just as the silence was starting to feel like a permanent fixture, a glow appeared on the horizon. It was faint at first, a mere speck of light in the distance. But it was growing, steadily, relentlessly. It wasn't the warm, familiar glow of a campfire or the harsh, artificial light of a flashlight. No, this was something different, something otherworldly. Then a glow appeared in the distance, hinting at something otherworldly. The glowing light, now accompanied by 2 smaller objects, passed over our heads. It was a sight that would make your heart skip a beat, not because of its grandeur, but because of its eerie silence. They moved at a pace so slow it was as if time itself had decided to take a breather. To describe it as a snail's pace would be an understatement. And the silence, it was as if the world had been put on mute. Not a sound could be heard, not even the rustling of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl. It was a tranquility that was unsettling. The objects, they were unlike anything we had ever seen. The larger one, it was flat and resembled a kite. Its size was immense, around 100 feet in length and 40 feet in width, hovering just about 200 feet above our heads. But the most intriguing part was the heat ripple beneath it, a kind of shimmering effect that reminded me of the way heat waves distort the air above a hot road. It was as if it was radiating a force field of its own. Accompanying this colossal figure were two smaller objects, glowing orbs. Their size was hard to judge due to the glow, but if I were to take a wild guess, I'd say they were about 10 feet in diameter. They moved in unison with the larger object like celestial bodies orbiting a planet. And then, as these objects passed overhead, something strange happened. Our hair, Colin's, Derek's and mine, started to stand on end. It was as if we were in the vicinity of a giant Tesla coil. Looking back, it was a comical sight. There we were, in the middle of nowhere, with our long hair standing up as if we were auditioning for a punk rock band. The sight would have been hilarious if it wasn't for the extraordinary circumstances. As the objects passed overhead, our hair stood on end. A comical sight considering our long hair at the time. What a night it was. A night that we would remember for the rest of our lives. After an hour, everything returned to normal. The eerie silence that had enshrouded our camp was gradually replaced by the familiar chirping of crickets. It was as if the celestial visitors had never been there, leaving us alone once again in the vast Australian outback. The glow in the sky faded into the darkness, leaving nothing but the twinkling stars and the soft flicker of our kerosene lamps. Despite the return to normalcy, or perhaps because of it, sleep eluded us that night. Our minds were buzzing, replaying the events over and over. The strangely silent night, the glowing objects in the sky, the inexplicable sensation of our hair standing on end. It was a lot to digest. You could say it was like trying to sleep after gulping down a pot of strong coffee. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, we sprang into action, packing up our camp. One might say we were a tad too eager to move on, but who could blame us? The events of the night had left a strange taste in our mouths, a mix of awe and unease, and we were keen to put some distance between us and whatever that was. We dismantled our tents, packed up our gear, and loaded everything onto our boat. The once comforting isolation of the outback now felt unsettling. The chirping of the crickets, the rustling of the leaves, every little sound seemed amplified, a stark reminder of the silence that had preceded the appearance of the mysterious objects. In the cool morning air, we set off again, towing our boat behind us. We were heading towards Cairns, looking forward to some serious fishing. Little did we know that the adventures of the previous night were far from over, and our journey was about to take another unexpected turn. 5 hours into our journey on the dirt track, we encountered a military roadblock. 6 soldiers, American accents hidden behind balaclavas, blocked our path. The sun was at its zenith, beating down on the dusty track, and yet there they stood, fully garbed, a peculiar sight in the sweltering tropical heat. They were a military roadblock, an unexpected hurdle on our detour to Cairns. They approached us with a casual air, their strides confident. But their eyes, those were sharp, scrutinizing us as if they could see right through our sunburnt faces and worn-out clothes. Their leader, a tall man with a voice like gravel, stepped forward. "Why are you off the main highway?" he asked, his gaze never leaving ours. We explained our detour, our plans for some serious fishing in Cairns before heading back to Sydney. He listened, nodded, and then asked something that sent a chill down our spines. "Have you seen anything unusual?" His question hung in the air, a silent echo of the eerie encounter we had just the previous night. Colin, quick on his feet, was the first to respond. "No," he said, his voice steady. The soldier seemed to accept this, giving us a curt nod before warning us of a military exercise in progress. He advised us to stick to our path, not to stray further into the bush. With that, they let us pass, their eyes following us as we drove away. In the silence that followed, we exchanged glances. The memory of the previous night was still fresh. The glowing crafts, the strange silence, the hair standing on end. We realized then that what we had witnessed was something we probably weren't supposed to. The encounter with the soldiers only confirmed our suspicions. Deciding to keep our encounter a secret seemed the wisest course of action. After all, who would believe us? We were just 3 friends on a fishing trip, not UFO hunters. So we kept our mouths shut, our secret safely tucked away as we drove on. We continued our journey, a shared secret between us. We arrived at Port Douglas, still processing the events of the previous night. The encounter had left us shaken, and the military roadblock did little to ease our nerves. We had seen something that night, something unexplainable, and it had left a lasting impression on us. As we unloaded our gear, the three of us, Derek, Colin and I, found ourselves drawn into a hushed conversation. We spoke in low tones, glancing around as if expecting someone to be eavesdropping. The subject was, of course, the encounter. The glowing objects, the eerie silence, the hair standing on end. It all seemed so surreal. We discussed at length what we had seen and experienced. Theories were thrown around, some plausible, others fantastical. But no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't ignore the reality of our encounter. We had seen something that defied explanation, and it was a secret we would have to keep to ourselves. We decided then and there to keep what we had seen a secret. It was an unspoken agreement, a pact made in the quiet solitude of Port Douglas. We didn't know what we had seen, and we didn't know what it meant, but we knew that it was something we weren't supposed to see, something that was meant to remain hidden. With our pact made, we continued our journey. The memory of the encounter stayed with us, a constant reminder of the unknown. But we were determined to make the most of our trip. We had come for an adventure, and we weren't about to let anything ruin it. Our journey took us down the coast, to the picturesque city of Cairns. We spent 4 days there, fishing on the Great Barrier Reef. It was a welcome distraction from the events of the previous night. The thrill of the catch, the camaraderie, the laughter. It was exactly what we needed. The fishing trip in Cairns, a much-needed distraction, was fantastic. The encounter, though kept secret, had a profound impact on us. It was a mystery that we held close, a shared experience that bound us tighter than any fishing knot. The world seemed to shift slightly on its axis that night. The stars above us, once just distant points of light, suddenly became potential homes for otherworldly beings. The night sky, once a blanket of peaceful darkness, was now a canvas of infinite possibilities. The encounter made us realize that we were not alone in this vast universe. We began questioning the things we previously accepted without a second thought. The encounter changed our perspectives, not just about the universe, but also about ourselves and our place in it. It made us feel small, yet significant. We were just 3 men on a fishing trip, but we had been privy to a spectacle that most people could only dream of. We found ourselves constantly looking up at the sky, even long after we returned to Sydney. Every night we hoped to see that mesmerizing glow again. Every star, every flicker in the night sky held a new meaning for us. We started reading about space, about extraterrestrial life, about UFO sightings. The encounter sparked a curiosity in us that we never knew existed. But along with the curiosity, there was also a sense of fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of what might happen if we revealed our secret. We had seen something we were not supposed to see, something that the authorities clearly wanted to keep under wraps. We were fearful, but also excited. It was our secret, our adventure, our story. We also felt a strange sense of responsibility, a duty to protect our secret. We knew that revealing it could lead to a flurry of questions, investigations, and possibly even danger. So we kept it to ourselves. It was our shared secret, a pact that was sealed in the heavy tropical air of Cairns. The encounter brought us closer. We were bound by an experience that was beyond ordinary. It was an unspoken bond, a silent understanding. We were the keepers of a secret, the witnesses to an extraordinary spectacle. The encounter also left us with a sense of wonder. It made us realize that there was so much more to explore, so much more to understand. It made us yearn for more adventures, more discoveries. It was a reminder that there were still mysteries in the world waiting to be unraveled. It was a call to keep exploring, to keep questioning. The adventure, the encounter, the secret, all these made our 1979 trip to Cairns an unforgettable journey. It was a trip that changed us, that shaped us. It was a trip that we would always remember, not just for the fishing or the scuba diving, but for the extraordinary encounter that opened our eyes to a whole new world of possibilities. Don't forget to tickle the like and subscribe button. Till next time.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. That's a little something I put together today. Brings back memories, actually. But over 40 odd years ago, that happened, that experience, and something I'll never forget. And actually, over the last few months, I've been trying to track down my mates, and because I know Colin had a Canon A1 camera, I know he got the camera out, and he took some photographs, and I recall it was on a 400 film, so which is quite good for sports, fast moving. But the thing was, I ended up buying that camera off him, so I know I'd love to see those photographs. So that's why I've been kind of Googling around, trying to find him on Facebook. And mate, we're talking about 40 odd years ago this happened. But yes, it was great. That was something I will never forget. But we actually originally only went to Gulf and Carpentaria for a fishing holiday for barramundi and these tropical fish, And once we put the boat in the water, we got caught out there and with the tide, and of course there's like mud banks, and of course when you want to come back in and the tide's out and you got all this mud bank ahead of you, and all you see on the mud bank are crocodiles, sea crocodiles at that, you're not going to get off the boat, that's for sure. We had to wait until the tide come in. 6 hours we waited. Six. There's lots to that story, believe it or not, or not story, experience. But the thing was, after the tide came out, we actually raced the boat straight up onto the shore, and got out very quick, put the shackles on the winch onto the actual boat, and got it out the water as quick as possible, get out there. We thought, no, this is not a place to go scuba diving. Definitely not. Anyway, and that's when we headed towards Cairns, Queensland. But anyway, his mother lived in his auntie, I should say, lived in a town further up from there. Anyway, so we spent a bit of time up the coast there, and then we went down to Cairns. We had a wonderful time there. I just want to kind of say, look, I'd like to thank all my friends in the Beehive group. Welcome, and thank you for being part of our community on the social media. Much appreciated. We are growing day by day, and everybody in Mr. B's Truth Seekers Facebook page, mate, I much appreciate you guys. Hey, I'm always, when people leave, people jump in straight away. I'm still at 5,000 numbers there, strong, constantly growing. Unfortunately, my YouTube channel's not really growing all as fast as I thought it would be. But then again, I rather have quality, not quantity. So it's not a bother to me. And my dear friends, Mr.B and friends, my friends have deserted me. Not really. They've been hanging around up on Rumble lately, testing the platform. Because I'm actually operating on a StreamYard network here. But yeah, they've been playing with Rumble up top there, and it's really, they're having a ball of a time. And I might migrate up there myself, because I'm paying for this and they're paying nothing for that. So, hey, g'day there, Chastity. How are you? Call me handsome. Come on, here I am. Hey, how's it going, sweetie? All good? Oh, dear. Good to have you on board there, Chastity. Hey, how about sending us a link to your channel? I want to say, I believe you done your first show, I believe. So I want to see it, and I want the link to it. And I want to subscribe, and so does Jim Goodall and all the rest of the boys. So good to see you. Hope all's well with you there, sweetie. Okay, now, well, I've been off for the last few weeks. I haven't been doing a show. Health wise, it's been down a gurgler. I'm been feeling a bit off. Apparently, I've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, the old chubby tubby type of thing. Being an old geezer like me, I mean, one has to watch their diet. Now, of course, they're not just my heart pills. Now I'm on pills for my diabetes and everything else. So I've got this crazy kind of cocktail going on in my stomach, and that just put me right off. Believe it, it's right off. Then they turn around and start, oh, well, we'll up your heart pills too. We'll double your dose on one. And also, too, we'll double your dose on your diabetes tablets. So if you can just bear with me, I'm going to be back to normal. Just got to adjust to what's happening to me, But it's good, though. I'm losing weight slowly because it's made me cut away from the pasta and and well, I've never been a real big bread eater, but I don't really touch bread anymore. Laid off the potatoes, and so basically it's high protein and greens basically for me. So yes, my life has done a big turnaround, a big change. So and of course I should be back to normal soon with all my mates. And Jim Goodall's been away lately, visiting a friend of his for over 61 years, and Robert and has been busy up on Rumble, as I said, and trying other platforms. So he's having a ball of a time doing it, and I might have a ball of a time enjoying him sometime. But we will be back to normal soon, hopefully this weekend, if he's not playing on Rumble, that is, you know what I mean? Because I'm so happy with my StreamYard. But then again, I'm always open for something new and something exciting. Okay, thank you, Chastity. I much appreciate that. You send me the link, and I'll. If you don't send it to Jim will be very upset. You know that, don't you? Anyway, and I only just came on to show my little documentary I knocked up, and it's a pity I can't seem to get all the videos I want that suit it more. You know, I mean, oh God! But then again, we can never get everything we want, can we? Really? We just got to take what they call potluck, isn't it? It's like an Irish stew. Everything gets shoved in there. You know what I mean? But yes, it's. I have this wonderful program which actually helps to make up the documentaries for you. Put the storyline in, you put it in, and it just generates your documentary for you, which is excellent. Saves a lot of work. And to me, it's entertaining too. It's like if I'm feeling sick, I say, "Oh, I've got a sore throat," and I'm feeling like a little sissy, and I don't want to talk. I know a boo-hoo. I can always put a docky on. You know what I mean? So, but I'll always be here. Hi, John. How are you, mate? Good to see you there. And God, I've got people. And Eric Mitchell. G'day there, Eric. Okay, let's go. Okay, here we go. There's Chastity. Yes, I'll have it today. Good on you. And then we got John. Hey, g'day there, John. Good to see you there, buddy. Yep. And my friend Eric. Actually, hey Eric, give us a message. Have you got time to jump on for 5 minutes with me, or what? I don't know. You're probably busy, or you're still awake, or what? Oh, best mate, how you? Hey, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Do you want to jump on with us, mate? I will send you a link regardless, just in case. I won't be staying too long. I'm still getting over all this damn medication everybody's put me on. It's ridiculous. It really is. Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's have a look here. Just send it. There we go. Oh, I always talk to myself. You know that, don't you? Here we go. Yeah, Eric, I just sent you a little link there, buddy. It's up to you. You want to come in. If you don't come in, I won't talk to you ever again. Nah, you'll be right, mate. Anyway, yes, I haven't been doing anything for a while. Yeah, okay, you can do audio. Okay, that's fine. Have we got crackles everything with the audio, mate? What? Anyway, jump on board. Come and say hello. Oh, yeah. Oh, such is life. Such is life. Yes, so there's a lot of things been happening in my life lately, and I feel very disappointed I haven't been able to do a show. It's just a lot happening in my life, and as they say, shit happens. It really does, doesn't it? And hey, we all go through it, and excuse my lingo, but hey, such is life. That's life. And the crazy thing about things these days is that I'm really, since I've had this issue with the diabetes, and I have to watch what I eat. And now I've got something I want to spit dummy out, which I think you guys would find interesting. You probably say, "Oh, what's this got to do with UFOs?" I'm not just here about UFOs. I'm a truth seeker. And I like, when I see something that's not right, I will speak up. And I don't give a toss who I offend or whatever. But what I'm doing now, I'm going to offend the establishment. Now, in my looking at what I can eat and what I can't eat, I actually looked it up and Google information, and then I came across, I know processed food. Yeah, Eric just came in on the scene. Hey, there, going there, Eric.
How you doing, my friend?
All right, mate. Hey, listen, I'm just going to ramble on just a sec. I'll be back with you there. When I was, I'm talking about my diabetes diet, and of course, I mean, my diet's better. And I'm eating. Oh, my wife says I don't eat enough, but the point is, I'm like a sparrow when I eat. But the thing is, what I found on my little journey, looking at what I can eat and what to avoid. Now, did you guys know things like spam, hot dogs, and corned beef out of a can is classed as a category 1 in the same class as asbestosis and cigarette smoking. Now, apparently, processed foods out of the can cause colon cancer. And that's from the study from the top universities in the US and also Sydney University and the universities in England. Now, my question is, why don't they have warnings on these cans like they do on cigarettes? This food can cause cancer. I mean, what's one of the biggest killers in the world today is bowel cancer on men, more so, But yeah, they're pumping out all this spam and corned beef like there's no tomorrow, right? And look, everybody goes to a footy match or something. What they do? You go and get a hot dog. All that meat is a category 1 for cancer, and that's been fact checked. Google it; it'll tell you yourself. I mean, now my question: why don't they have it warnings on the cans? They have them on everything else that causes cancer. But then again, they don't mind having it on cigarettes because it gives them an excuse to tax it even more. Right? So everything's to do with tax, really. Anyway, how are you going there, Eric, my friend?
Doing great, my friend. Just watching you this morning. Glad to see you.
Yeah, well, hey, mate, I tell you, I just had to do my little rant. You know what I mean?
Educational at that. I mean, so important.
Yeah. Hey, tell you something, buddy. You've got a friend online there, passing. From Melbourne.
I do. I do. I'm getting a lot of calls.
Yeah. Well,
I'm getting a lot of.
She's in the chat there at the moment, up top. First one in tonight, so it's great. So.
Oh yeah, there's an awful lot of people, from your neck of the woods, all over Australia, that's having experiences. Man, they're calling in. They're freaking out. Some people are used to it and can handle it. Some people never even thought of this stuff to be true, so they're really being shaken down. And I mean, if that many are contacting me, how many actually are there?
Yeah, well, that is the question. Look, I know by firsthand. I mean, I lived with it for years, and I mean years, mate. I'm 73 now, 74 next, and I had my first experience at the age of 7. And I was getting visitations on average of two times a year, sometimes 3 times, and right up to the age of 13. And then my father told me to suck it up, son. It's the imagination going wild. But many years later, my father actually sat me down and he actually said, son, I'm going to tell you something. And he said, that night you screamed saying ghost. And he says, I was the first one in the room. When I turned on the light, I saw something, and it disappeared like that, like a click of the finger. It just disappeared. But he says, but I couldn't really say anything because it's only about 5 weeks earlier, my grandfather died in our home, and of course he had to think of my mother. If I start saying ghost and stuff like that, it's only going to upset my mother. And he told me, it's my imagination. Go, don't just suck it up, son. Be a man. Don't be frightened of things that don't exist. But it was later in life, he actually turned around and said, you did see something. And I don't know what it was. So that was an experience in its own. And the person who my late friend, Mr. John Yost from Rhino Industries, Rhino Studios, lovely man. You'll never be forgotten. When we first met, he asked me if I ever had an experience, and I told him. He said, "What was it like for you?" And I explained it to him. He says, "Oh, you got to look at my documentary." And this time, I didn't know he was a filmmaker at all, not at all. And I said, "What documentary? What are you talking about?" He says, I work for Rhino Industries, and I put out a documentary called Alien Abduction Answers." And of course, I says, "Oh, okay." And he says, "Well, there's a being." He says, "I want you to look at it and tell me what you think about it." Anyway, he says, "You can find it on what was it? Amazon Prime." And I couldn't get it because it wasn't available in Australia at the time. So next day he says, "Did you watch it?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I can't get it because it's on American Amazon, not Australia." He says, "I'll tell you what I do." He says, "I'll send you the password to my vault and the address. Go there. Don't share I said, "Just watch it. Get back to me." So, okay. I went to his vault and tapped in the password, and I watched the documentary. Now, halfway through, there was this alien being. Now, you can actually just on a sec. I'll play if I can find it. I think Alien Abduction. Now, this is what I saw. You'll see in this clip an alien being, and it's the exact alien being I actually saw. Okay, just bear with me.
This is not communication. It's communion. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. That will change you. It changed me.
Lost in between two worlds and two dreams.
This was something that I kept buried for years. Strange things would happen. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
He came at me, and I fought for my life.
Ships started to pop up in the sky.
And there's this bizarre disk of light. And it was moving across the sky very fast.
The experience is often very terrifying.
If I felt fear, I would crawl under my covers, hoping that it would go away, whatever it was.
I know that we were put in that craft. I knew I was going to go to another planet.
And the being was right next to my face.
He saw two shadow beings. That's when I felt like I was going to die.
I had a real encounter with something. Even if I had to live with the fear, is to know the truth, is to know.
Wow.
Well, that glowing alien that was actually in that documentary, John Yost predicted, showed it exactly how it was. And it's absolutely fascinating. And it blew my mind. Anyway, the following day when I actually spoke to John, he says, "Well, did you watch it?" And the words that came out of my mouth was, "You bloody wanker, you knew, didn't you?" that were the actual words I said to him. And he said, "Yes, brother. I knew you were telling me the truth straight as soon as you opened your mouth and told me. I just wanted you to watch my documentary." And it really kind of made my hair stand up on my neck and my arms. I mean, it really freaked me out, it really did. And but again, it's, how can I put it? It's you know, you live with this all your life. If you try to tell somebody, they look at you like you're bloody stupid or something, you know. I mean, you know, my wife asked me one time, she said, why are you into ufology? Why are you into UFOs? But my wife, she's a lovely lady. She's a Christian woman. She's a churchgoer, and she doesn't believe in aliens and UFOs. So she believes in the dogma belief of God made man. You know, they made us in His image, and we are God's creation and everything goes. And aliens don't come into it. But when I told my wife my experience, well, I got a typical response about it. Tell the bloody Marines, you know. He doesn't believe it, you know. And but this is as you know, Eric, this is something we all go through in life. Experiences go through in life. I mean, people look at you like you're stupid. They don't want to believe what you know. I mean, I don't have a story. I will not. I don't have stories to tell. Everybody on the internet these days have got stories. They've got stories, whistleblowers, whatever you want to call it. You know, half of these people out there, they write these books and they're saying it's true, it's fact. You know. Now, look, I mean, I don't follow sci-fi. I really don't. You know, I can only talk about my own experiences, and I take people on face value. If it makes sense to me, I will take it on face value. I will not ridicule an individual of what they believe, honestly, not an individual. But I will turn around and say there is 95% bullshit in ufology today. People have got to realize hard it's an industry. Everybody's got a book to sell. Everybody's got a documentary to sell. People have got conferences they've got to sell tickets to. Now, when we talk about conferences, now we're talking about air flights, hotel accommodation, meals. So it's a prime industry. It's a multi-million-dollar industry. And it could be $1 billion industry on a global sense. Who knows? I do not know. But what's your take on this, Eric?
I saw that for the first time, and it blew me away. I think it's going to be a great film. I am sitting in my office right now. Slept in a little bit late because I had a late night crisis situation. But you know, I'm sitting here in a sleeveless shirt, and I'm looking at the scars on my arms.
Right.
And that really hit home for me. You know, my daughter, we had woken up, and this is when I still couldn't believe this stuff was true. I thought it was, you know, crazy talk. I woke up to hear my daughter scream, you know, and when a man hears his daughter scream, he's coming, you know, and I went into her bedroom. She's sitting up in her little nightgown, and I immediately can see hundreds of holes, you know, the size of a water droplet deep in her arms. And I grabbed her arms and I'm looking. There's no bleeding. There's no pussing. Everything's dry, as if it just dehydrated for some reason. It just didn't make any sense. And she went for another scream with her mouth open, but nothing came out. And she pointed her little finger at my arms. And I was so distracted, I didn't even notice. And I looked down from shoulder cuff to elbow only. I stopped counting at 178 on one of her arms because I couldn't keep track with all the holes. I immediately brought her to the pediatrician, a man I golf with for 12 years. And he said, Eric, I've seen everything. I've been a pediatrician for 30 years. He said, I've never seen anything like this. These should be bleeding. They should be pussing. They should be reacting, but they are too dehydrated. And I've never seen a doctor that white in the face and that shaken. And still to this day, there's no explanation whatsoever, no possible one, you know. So when I saw those scars, whoever's doing that is doing their homework, because scoops, it's a real phenomenon all over the world. Whether you have a lot of insects in your area or whether you have none, there's no possible explanation other than the unknown.
Well, strangely you say, you know, when I was 13, my last visitation at the age of 13, I woke up in a sitting up position in bed. And when I looked down, I had a wound approximately about 3 inches long on my leg. It was open, no blood. It was just open. and this being had this looked like a straw about, I'd say about an inch, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches long, and held it in his hand. Then he looked at me, or I don't know, it was he or she really, because it had no eyes, mouth, nose, whatever, all just a glowing bit. And it put its long finger in front of its face like that, and I fell back to sleep. Now, when I woke up, first it was natural just to look down at my leg, and there was nothing there, no scar, no nothing. I thought, oh, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. Anyway, it would have been a couple of years ago. There am I foliating in the shower, and I looked at my leg, in this particular my thigh, and I thought, is that a scar? Because my fat belly got in the way, so I got my wife to come in and have a look for me. Anyway, my wife came in. She said, yeah, that's a very faint scar. And it's like, as you get older, your skin gets dry, you lose a lot of melanin in your skin, there's less sensitive. I mean, it's like you get loose arms and loose wrinkled skin, and all of a sudden the scar is there, a very faint scar, but a definite scar. And I thought, wow, hey, how do you explain this, Anyway, this is just before I go any further. Hey, everybody, everyone in chat, if you want to join me, feel free to come in. And hey, don't be shy, don't be camera. You can come in audio, or you can come in by camera, do whatever. Come and join me. Let's have a yet, as they say. And I don't bite. Nobody's here to bite you or ridicule you. This is an open house. So join me by all means. Surprise me. I dare you. I dare you. Okay, John, you're eating breakfast. Okay. Go in. Come on, John. You can do it, mate. Yeah. Hey, it's very hard to do this on your own at times. Your brain goes 10,000 revs. Normally I've got Robert Bauer sitting there, he usually takes over the mic, and I can just sit back and I can relax and let Robert do a lot of talking. He likes the microphone. There's a microphone buddy, Robert, Anyway, so what's new, Eric? Lately, what any kind of anything coming out of the woodwork lately?
Oh no, not really. I've enjoyed being home for a while. I was on the road for a long time, and so I'm just operating with my office and phone. A lot of activity in Australia, all over the country, more than what I'm really used to. Usually it's sporadic, it's all over the place, but a lot of calls from Australia. I'm meeting a lot of great people. Parsi, he's a great guy. Profound experiences. I mean, just amazing. North Conway, New Hampshire is a hot spot. Black helicopters all over your country right now, American made, are following these experiences with at least 5 people that I know of right now, and more coming through. I ask them if they see a Black Hawk helicopter, and they tell me no. And a few days later, I get a picture, and there it is. And so we've got these new radars, that are picking up the activity. So they're sending, they're sending recon to go check these things out. Northern, New Hampshire, North Conway, New Hampshire, the mountains out there is having a lot, and around the Superstition Mountains in Mesa or Chandler area. I forget which, but it's, the entire area, not just the mountain ranges. Getting a lot of calls from there. Just spoke to an admiral. He's 66 years old. He's been an admiral, retired now. Called me with that shaky voice. He was on vacation, and he could not believe what he saw. And, he was privy to a lot of black projects, and he told me, he said, Eric, we just don't have that technology, and I can't bring myself to believe that it came from somewhere else. He said, man, I'm really messed up about this. Highly educated, powerful man. And he didn't know who to talk to, just like a lot of these pilots. They don't know who to call, and they're not going to reach out to their military on this. So they reach out to people like me, civilians that's used to getting calls, and they just want to get it off their chest, So activity, a lot of people want to believe that maybe, just maybe, there's 3 gray men that get into a ship and fly 30 years with no bathroom in it whatsoever, no buffet at all. And and somehow crash land here in 1947. But the truth is, we on this planet we have activity constantly, and that's according to pilots, radar, people on the ground, civilians. You know, every observation possible, it comes up with that. And the basic fact is, we're not alone, and I don't think we ever have been.
Well, I totally agree with you. We definitely are not alone, but I've got my theory. So the more I look at it, the more I realise that we're not the only intelligent species, the most intelligent species on this planet. I mean, the land mass has only been here a couple of million years, so many million years. But you've also got to realise too, they say the planet is 4.5 billion years old. Now, it can be older than that because with rock, you can't carbon date a rock. You can only carbon date something that's been organic, like fossils and things like that, right? Fungi. But let's say, okay, 4.5 billion. It could be 6. It could be 8 billion as far as I'm. But life walking on, it's about 80 million years. I think they estimate 80 million years, right? So. Now, if life can evolve within 80 million years, I mean, what about the other 3? Well, we put 1 billion down for the planet, cool. Then we got another billion, right? With life starting off in the oceans. Now, my question: if over 800 million years, if life on the planet, as we know, with all the insects, primates, different animals, right? If they can evolve, and now we've gone through the Neanderthal man, we've got Homo sapiens stage, right? Within 800 million years. Now, the thing is, what about that extra missing billion years? What evolved in the ocean? That's what I'm saying. If intelligent life can evolve in 800 million years out of the ocean, what evolved in the ocean before land? Right. Now, my question is, we've got all these mysterious locations around the world, like the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil Triangle, the Ring of Fire. We've got all these places where all these weird and wonderful things happen out at sea. You know, ships are found with no people on board. Where do all the people go to? You know, or ships or airplanes go missing out of the blue, no reason, no nothing. But when there's a war on, you have two fighters coming out. They say, "Shit, what's that noise?" Now I know for a fact whales from the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere can sing songs to each other, mating calls. They can actually mate call to each other from one pole to the other. Right? Now, if they can do that in song, if you lived in the ocean, wouldn't you hear every vibrating sound coming from like somebody set off a bomb, bang, won't you hear that vibration in water? You know? And to me, this is, mate, just any speculation, I don't know. But is it possible that Foo Fighters were actually originally came from the ocean? Now we know that there's USOs and they travel at over 250 knots under the water when our own ships or submarines can only do 45 knots. Obviously, as good in the water as they are out of the water, you know. And my question is, we do not live with lions, tigers, giraffes, bloody gorillas or anything because they live in a different habitat. But yet, we will go, bag them, tag them, take blood samples and put them back in the habitat. We abduct them. We do it to them. Right. Now, imagine a species that could be 2 million years more advanced than us living in the bottom of the ocean. Wouldn't they bag and tag us? You know, us do the old derriere, take blood samples and everything, and put tracking devices like we do to whales and like we do to dolphins and like we do to monkeys and everything, you know? So we've got this kind of scenario going on here where it's all right for us to do it to the subspecies, but when it happens to us, we're the first, oh shit, how did I've been abducted? Hold it. Adapted by who? Now we talk about alien greys. right, with big dark almond eyes. Have anybody really taken a good look at some of these dolphins with the grey skin and the almond eyes and dark eyes? Not just dolphins with the almond eyes. Hey, even octopus has almond-shaped eyes. There's different species. Now, I ask myself another question: why do modern-day ships, as we know it, still travel on the trade winds when they don't even have friggin' sails? Why is it that why don't we cross these vast areas, right? And how come we know more about the surface of Mars, we know more about the surface of the moon than we know what's in our own oceans? We only know less than 10% of our own oceans. The question mark is up there. Why? Is it a no-go zone because of advanced civilization, which the governments of the world know about and always have known about? So even Christopher Columbus, when he was traveling down the Americas, in his ship's log talks about luminosities circling the ship in the water. And then they came out, so many days they came out of the water and circled the ship. And the crew got so serious, they turned the vessel around and head back home. And that's when they discovered America. But there's more to the big picture.
Yeah, but buddy, I've talked to PhDs that take this very seriously. They've seen too much. There's a lot of reputable scientists looking into this, and that your hypothesis cannot be taken off the table. In fact, there's more sightings of these things coming out of mountains and oceans than there are them coming down from the sky. Oh man. And just a little factoid. I was speaking to that admiral yesterday. He was looking into the USS Nimitz incident, and for that thing to go from 80,000 feet to water level in less than a second, you can calculate that at 53,000 miles per hour. Can you imagine a human being that has motor function to fly that fast and stop on a dime just before hitting the ocean? I mean, we have games where we spin the wheel and try to stop it on the $1,000 prize, and we don't. We're terrible at it.
Exactly.
Whoever's flying this thing, I want him to come to a casino with me and stop all the bars.
I hear you. But the thing is, we talk about, Mr. Preston Dennett, he likes talking about USOs and that. I'd love to have him on the show one day very soon. I'll like to get to know him person. And but the thing is, Preston Dennett, mate. But the thing is, people seem to overlook this. Everybody wants to think, what galaxy did it? What star system did they come from? I mean, you may have some coming from a star system, but personally, who knows, mate? Look, if the moon is an artificial satellite, maybe they migrated here millions of years ago or whatever, right? And they made home. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, listen, mate. Nobody's in ufology. Nobody's an expert. I get this out all the time. Everybody is only speculating. No one has true hard facts. That's fact. Now, all I know is my facts is what I believe and what I see. But that's my reality. There is over 8 billion different realities in this world. Your reality is different to my reality. When you do your toe, I don't bloody feel it. So it doesn't concern me. It's not part of my reality. You have a tooth out. I don't. That's not part of my reality. So every person has their own reality. And I know my reality, what's real to me. And that's all that matters. What other people think, I really don't give a monkey's, mate. I really don't give a damn. Because my reality is real to me. And again, we all have to respect other people's reality. But when somebody says, I don't expect people to say, what happened to me is true. I don't. I'm not trying to convince. I share my experience. I'm not telling stories. I'm just sharing my experience. That's all I can do. I don't like stories. If you want stories, go to Hollywood. They got millions of them. And these people that write books about the Galactic Federation and about whatever. I reckon they'd make fantastic movies, like Star Wars or whatever. Take it to Hollywood. Let them make a movie about it. But don't tell me it's true. Don't tell me that I sit there and say, I am the Earth's ambassador for the Galactic Federation. Because now I'm going to tell you, you're full of shit. That's a fact. That's how I see it. And, honestly, I was going to say, bullshit. When you go to these people's sites, what do you see? These people, the Earth's ambassadors, their bloody sites are like a shopping centre, mate. Everything's for friggin' sale. Don't they have a much? Doesn't this Galactic Federation with all this superpower and great power provide for them? Yeah, it's something to live on. There's an income or whatever we can just Why do they have to? Why, and as some of these people that go to these conferences, right? We won't say names, I like to, but they go to their conferences and they tell you, "No, I didn't take the jab," blah blah blah, and then I say, then you say to us, "Well, how the freaking hell did you get that country from places like Ireland or UK or whatever?" Right? You know what I'm talking about. I know you understand who I'm talking about, Eric. But and tell people not to get the jab when they wouldn't let you in the country you didn't have it in the first place. So, I mean, there is some really good bullshittery going on in your life. And I laugh. You know what gets me? People believe it. I think people got to have more of a concerning spirit, People have got to start saying, "Hey, how far do you go here?" I mean, half of these authors, they're feeding the insatiable drive for what they call people that are into sci-fi. People that love sci-fi. I love watching Star Trek. And if somebody wants to tell me a story that's very similar, I'll enjoy the story, Send it to bloody Hollywood. Let them make a movie, Probably make more money out of them doing conferences. That's for sure. Never mind. But and then we got this the doorbell, the doorbell, following George Knapp around. I wonder if his wife and his backside, It always seems to be where George Knapp is, eh? And I remember watching him in Congress, sit beyond David Grush, and every time David Grush says something, doorbells go on. Everybody's in suits. He looks like a bloody scrub. Doesn't respect the place, And he's nodding his head, standing out like a sore thumb. He was noticed. I just think, well, that guy's a freaking dickhead. That's how I believe. No, I don't give a shit if anybody wants to complain. I've got a little notice up on my screen before I start. It's not suitable for children or any people with sticks up their backside that can't take the truth. That's my truth. But I've got to call it how I see it, But they don't bring anything to the table. No one really brings anything to the table. I tell you. But that's me. Again, I'm on my little rant. My good friend, Mr. Robert Bauer. Robert, I see you there. I see you there, my friend. I did put a link. I'll send you a link, Robert, I expect to come in. I know you probably haven't shaved yet. Oh God, I'm on a run here. That's all. That's all I say, guys. I've got to copy this and go there and. Oh, yeah. Where am I? Who am I? What am I? I don't know. Who the hell am I? I don't know. I've lost it. Here we go. Just on sec.
It is changing, though. I mean, slowly changing, but we've had 80 years of ufology. A lot of people have seen big advantage of the situation and push down people that have experiences. But let's go back to the late 50s, early 60s. I saw the header on the 1962 document, which is still classified, but I got to see the header where they are literally military and PhDs combined doing experiencer studies. And I've been told it went back even further into the 50s. And so if you think about it, on the whole ufology thing, well, ufology says that you and I aren't credible witnesses, so they leave out the, but they go out everything else. So it's funny that PhDs in the military have been looking into this, but the ology, the self-proclaimed ology, you don't earn it, says that no, we're non-existent. So I find that fascinating. But now we've got Stanford, Harvard, University of Montana Tech, and so many universities that are starting to look at this data, and they're going, "Oh my God, I've got to share this with my colleagues." So it went from 80 years of ufology now into PhDs that are solving these puzzles very quickly, and it's fascinating. Hollywood has their Hollywood disclosure movement, starting with actors and all kinds of stuff. So Hollywood is going to start their own disclosure. Science is on its way for disclosure. Regular people that don't even think about this subject are catching on, and they're waiting for their wife or husband to go to work. They can watch YouTube all day. And look at these YouTube numbers where 10 years ago it'd get 10, 15, 60 views, and now it's 6 million views talking about this subject. So people, think that there's some sort of American podium where the president stands and tells us we're not alone. Well, that's not real disclosure. It's the idea of it. Real disclosure is personal. One for the world, and realizing and looking at enough evidence until it pops in their mind, oh my God, this is, and it's happening so rapidly. Down the street, they used to scoff at me because everybody in my town, in my neighborhood, in my yard, there were cars and trucks lined up and down the road because everyone wanted to see it, and it was coming back night after night. And so I got scoffed at. I literally moved, and when I came home, people are buying me beers at the pub. They're saying, "Hey, man, I watched Ancient Aliens. I want to ask you some questions." So it's completely different now. And how different is it going to be 10 years from now? Are you calling the wife telling on me? Oh no, here he is. He's calling the men in black. He's turning me in. He's pinpointed my location, and I'm just straight up caught.
Yep, I totally agree with you there, Rob. Eric, I just actually got Robert just called. I was listening. He was actually saying you're making a lot of noise there with your microphone.
Oh, I am. Too much background.
Yeah, just crackling a bit. Okay, mate. If anybody else wants to jump in with us and say hello, by all means, don't be shy. We don't mind. More the merrier. That's what I reckon. More the merrier. What's happening with your phone there? Something static nearby.
That's terrible. It's a brand new phone too. Very quiet room.
It just stopped for a second then. Okay. That's back again. God, what type of phone are you operating on, mate?
Oh, it's a 2023 Stylus Android. It's brand new.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. I buy new phones all the time, and it's always a problem.
Yeah, mate. Look, the amount of phones I go through. I mean, the last one, the one I have is a Galaxy S22, and I dropped it the other day. Actually, the protecting cover for the screen Yeah, just protected cover for the. G'day, Robert. How are you? Wakey, rise and shine.
It's Faricum down here or up
I
here.
just told him I dropped my bloody cell phone, didn't I? And all my screen cracked, and you know, yeah. Hey, I'm not paying $600 just to have a bit of glass fixed up. It still works. It still works. Hey, now here, hey, the prodigal sons came home for a while, away from bloody Rumble. Hey, Eric, I tell you now, mate, these guys deserted me. They ran away from me. They've had enough of me. They're starting up their own little clean there up in bloody Rumble there. Hey, Rumble does look good though, mate.
Well, a lot of it has to do with, in fact, I'm going to tie this into your conversation, but I've been doing my own shows and I've been trying to figure out the best platform to do that. And I just have not been happy with StreamYard. And I found Riverside FM, which is just a phenomenal platform, does all kinds of great things. And then in the middle of trying to settle on that, I went in and poked around Rumble, and all of a sudden the Rumble studio showed up. And I said, well, what the hell is this? And went in there and found that thing to be extremely powerful, and it's free.
Right. Yeah. And how's the chat in that? Can you got the chat like in here sort of thing?
Not all of it. It works for the host. So all of the channels that I stream to, my comments show up, but we're sorting through that. And the chat, I'm not necessarily doing the live show thing. We're trying to do something like we've been doing for the last year or so on Saturday nights. And the last month or so, you haven't been available. So we've been just trying to fill in your big B spot and keep and make sure people still have something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been feeling the best day with all these bloody medication stuff I'm on lately for diabetes and mate. Hey, hello. There's our little princess there. How you going there, Heidi?
Hey, Heidi. So to the point of your conversation, I think it was Eric was just talking about, there's just a lot of people that are starting to not only not believe the bullshit of everybody's calling it disclosure. I call it exposure. I think disclosure is the wrong word. Disclosing the fact that we are not alone underlies the whole premise of is it theirs, how many are theirs, and how many of it is ours.
That's right.
And regardless of the percentage of how many are theirs, it's clear that if there's any of them that are theirs, then we're not alone. And we've known that shit for millennia. That goes back to just about every cosmology that we've uncovered in every civilization throughout space and time on the planet. So that's really not the issue. The issue is exposing the fact that these folks who have held on to all the tech for decades have been keeping it from the rest of the planet. They have not let the rest of the kids on the playground have access to this technology. And had they done that, we would be living in a completely different world. So exposing the fact that these assholes have kept all this stuff to themselves and not allowed it to become the transformative disruption in our human history that it would be, and it will be, is really that's where the lynchings are going to come in. I think that's where one of my regular themes is the rise of the pissed off peeps. And I think we're seeing a lot of that going on. People have had enough of not being able to see and to know the truth of our reality, that, the whole idea of creation and monotheistic belief systems is based on a lie. And it's based on a lie that's been carefully crafted and curated for millennia. So to that point, one of my last shows that I did on the Nexus was with Brian Singh. And he's one of the, I think he's one of the founders and top coordinators for the Full Disclosure Movement and Full Disclosure Now Conference, which is this July down in Florida. And he's got everything, SSPs, experiencers, remote viewers, an amazing cadre of characters who have been doing this kind of work for decades. So there's more and more. We just had one down here in the Southwest. Forgot the name of them. They've got so many. There's Alien Con, UFO Con, this con, that con. There's just a bunch of them that are popping up all of a sudden. And I think it's testament to what Eric was talking about. There's just people that are finally, they've seen enough, they've kept quiet long enough, and they've had enough. And they're beginning to start telling these stories and getting this information out that, hey, everything we've been told is a lie. Good old Lloyd Pye and his movie from a couple of decades ago. What the Bleep Do We Know? Another great movie that my first guest on the Nexus, John Seri, did all the music for. There's more of this stuff going on, and it's kind of funny. Again, to something I think I heard Eric say. It's funny how these people get, I'm terming the UFO community ufology, because there's just they're all fighting amongst themselves, arguing about this, bickering about that. And everybody's got their own perspective, whether it's from Greer to Dolan to Knapp to Lazar. And I mean, it's wild that they're all having this constant conflict amongst themselves. And in my opinion, they've already won. All of the UFO folks that have had either experiences or just believe it for their own reasons, they're the ones that are going to come out in the end and, be looked at as, well, how did you know that there were UFOs back 30, 40
we told
years?
you so. They're doing a Bob Lazar. We told you so.
Because we told you. And if you, just because you thought we were the tinfoil hat nut wings back then, whether you apologize is, up to your own integrity and credibility. But the bottom line is that all of this UFO stuff, UFO, UAP, EIEIO, pick one, whatever. And it's all coming out as being the truth. And if you're going to go in and jump into one of these little simmering pots of saucers, people out there arguing about this shit, all you're doing is just wasting time and creating more nonsense. Because one of the things that is pretty consistent is there's nothing new in these conversations. Everybody's talking about the same incidents. They're talking about the same shit
in a different order with different topping.
You might have some new hooligan jumping in and tossing shenanigans around. So I kind of stay out of it, other than just to see where I like trends analysis. I'm a data guy, and I like to see what's going on and where it's going. But as far as getting involved in the, finger pointing and this guy knows this guy said that, this guy's got this document, this guy's got this evidence, this guy's got this, and they're all arguing amongst themselves, or they're not getting along. It's like, okay, kids, you go in there and keep stirring your own pot, because when we do have the actual, there is no doubt, because look, these people came down in this ship and it's worldwide obvious, then there's going to be a whole bunch of brains popping and brains oozing out of orifices, because people go, oh my God, I can't believe this is true, even though they've been told it's true for decades. So the other thing I think is quite fascinating is that most of the theologies, the belief systems, particularly the Abrahamic belief systems, the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, anything that's monotheistic is going to have one hell of a time when all this shit starts really coming down. Their entire world cosmology and view of the universe is going to get turned upside down. Other belief systems like Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, which I follow, this is par for the course. This is those folks have been waiting for this, counting on it, because they don't have this monotheistic personality-based belief system. So it's going to be real interesting to watch all of the different reactions from the theologies around the world. But I just wanted to pop in. I just rolled out of bed and I got my first. I haven't even finished my Java install yet. And I turned on my computer and there you were flapping your yap. And I said, well, if he's not going to come on Saturday nights, I'm going to jump on his show.
Yeah, well, I will come. I just haven't been feeling well. You know that. Anyway, put all that aside. My experience with my friends in 1979. Now, that was a weird because on the way back from the Gulf of Carpentaria, which is the top of Australia, and we come across to the right towards Queensland. What we experienced was coming in hindsight, because we didn't know any better back then. I mean, I believed in, I saw something when I was young and everything else, and that's a different situation. But what I actually saw with my mates, now thinking back, that large craft that was shaped like a kite, it was huge. As I said, it would have been about 100 foot long and about 40 foot wide. And it was shaped like a kite, you know, and all underneath was literally glowing white, really white, plasma white, and it's like it rippled, like you see heat haze on top of a hot tarmac road in the summer months. But the thing is, the rest of it you could make out that it was metallic, and quite honestly, thinking about it, it could have been man-made. It could have been man-made. Now, the orbs that were going around, well, that's another story. They did not look man-made to me. I couldn't make jack shit out of it. Or I even had trouble trying to estimate the size of them. There was two of them. But the large craft was definitely big, silent, and just floating there very, very slowly moving. But yeah, and the energy that came off it, I mean, as I said, it's like a Tesla coil, mate. I mean, you can imagine me with hair down, I mean, frigging shoulders, right? A bloody beard down here, hair down on my shoulders, right? My mates had hair down to their shoulders, and there's our hair standing up like that. You know? It's weird, just weird. And and also too, the roadblock we came across, American soldiers or American military wearing balaclavas in a 40 to 42 degrees Celsius, which is 100 and odd bloody Fahrenheit, right? And the only people I know that wear balaclavas are usually people like SEALs and SAS, for not to be identified. I know the SAS, Special Air Services, wear balaclavas. They don't show their face in combat. So that was a strange, and the sheer fact that the American guy, there's about six we know of. And one of the first questions I asked, have you seen anything unusual? And Colin just said, no, we didn't see nothing. But anyway, that's an experience. But now, look, now you look back and you say, well, at that time, that was a big deal. It was a big deal and very frightening as well. Because, I mean, like why are you doing off the bloody main highway? Why are you doing on a dirt track? Now, this dirt track is what they call a fire track. It's like if there's a bushfire or anything, the fire brigade uses these tracks to actually get to where to fight the bushfire. They're called fire tracks. And that's what we were on, as a fire track, using it as a shortcut. So it's a hell of an experience, though. Hell of an experience. But then that's another chapter in my life. Just one chapter. Just one of many. And as you know, the next big sighting I had was in Rockingham here in 2016, which I've got photographs of that one. But
well, I think that we're going to see more and more of the the citizen journalist kind of, type, where people who everybody's got a device that takes pictures and does videos and streams to services. So we're going to see more and more of it. But you notice how even since we've had these damn things for at least the last 5 or 10 years, the majority of it's still a bunch of blurry, grainy crap. And it's like, okay, I'm getting tired of seeing the same. Saw this, and some of it's extremely compelling. You can tell by the people who were taking the shots or the videos that there's genuine awe, wonder, fear in their voice. But nobody seems to know how to hold a damn phone. Nobody knows how to get into the landscape mode. It's always in that portrait mode, and they can't hold it. And the damn thing's moving all over the place.
Yep.
It's like, I am so tired of seeing that shit.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
I can understand some issues. I can understand where things like maybe the photograph is not as sharp as it should do. Is it getting electronic interference? Is it affecting it? Just like you can get interference from static and other things. I don't know. I mean,
that could be that could be, but come on. I mean, we've got sightings during the day, during the night. We've got them out on the plains. We've got them out in the jungle. We've got them all over the place.
Yeah.
And every one of them is literally a blurry, grainy, shaky movie. Can't keep it in center of the frame.
And it's the same for Bigfoot. It's the same for Bigfoot.
Right. So if some people speculate that Bigfoot is an extra dimensional, or one of our cosmic cousins in some way, that they're tied to all the different discs and cigar shape this and, saucer shape that. Maybe they're all tied, and maybe they all do have some kind of some energy, whether it's clearly not cloaking, because there is something that's being seen, but maybe there is some common energy that's affecting all the devices. But I'm having a hard time buying that. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, especially when somebody's actually taken a photograph with a telephoto lens and what the object they're looking at could be about 15 miles away. I mean, to have static interference from a...
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, I think there's much more interesting stuff being caught going on the moon and on Mars.
Yes, most definitely. I don't know so much about Mars, moon, definitely, yes.
Yeah, Bruce Sees All is a YouTube channel worth checking out on YouTube. And this guy is capturing some amazing stuff, and a lot of it is through live streams that he does. Got a great telescope and very credible stuff. There's another guy on YouTube, Mars Anomalies.
Right.
And these are both straight ahead, kind of no bullshit researchers. They just want to go see what's there. And I see more interesting shit going on what they're finding than 80-90% of the crap that's being captured on people's smartphones around the planet.
Yeah. Anyway, Eric, what's your take on all this, fella? Wakey.
Yeah. One of their observables is low visibility. There seems to be like what Mr.B was saying, that it's kind of like the coming off the road, rippling like the sun. So I don't think our smartphones are going to pick up. I've taken plenty of pictures myself that were extremely just blurry. It's blurry to the naked eye, up close and personal. It seems like some sort of electromagnetic fusion of some sort, just rippling around the objects. Even not just the spheres, but even these triangles seem to emanate this electromagnetic rippling glow coming off those things. So it is frustrating to try to catch a picture. I've gotten some good ones on accident, but never on purpose. But they're hard to catch, and I've never really owned a really good camera, and I'm not going to run outside after dark chasing things after what happened to me. Better off just home.
And here am I. Hey, look at me. Here am I. Oh dear. But I agree with Robert to a degree where not all I mean, it seemed to be every one of them, you know. But then again, what about the ones that was taken over England back in the 50s and 60s, and that shows you this diamond-shaped craft being followed by a jet, and it's supposed to be the real deal, you know. I mean, to me, keep looking at it, and I say to myself, well, that looks man-made, you know, but it didn't have any propellers on it, didn't have any jet engines on it. It's just the plane just following it, you know, escorting it. So is it man-made?
Well, I agree. A lot of the best stuff in the last century has been before Roswell and around that time. And Roswell has, you know, been established as an anchor point. But hell, there's Cape Girardeau that was 1941. There's stuff back in the 30s. There's a number of things that are quite interesting. But I find some of the Renaissance and the ancient paintings to be quite even more fascinating. You've got paintings of fleets. You've got events happening over towns where hundreds of people saw the same thing. And, you know, just a whole shitload of UFOs, UAPs, and EIEIOs all doing battle in the sky. Then you get into the Mahabharata and the Rig Veda. And
oh, yeah, that's interesting.
They're just rich with sky people having incredible lightning bolt type weapons and blowing the shit out of each other.
Yeah, especially the way they talk, especially when they talk about the nuclear explosion, you know, lit up like 10,000 suns, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and Oppenheimer, the recent movie where he's quoting, you know, Shiva, you know, I'm destroyer of worlds. You know, most of the great physicists or the people that have been put into that category all had some very specific interest in the Hindu and the Vedic writings. Great mathematicians came out of India that were all involved in the ancient Hindu cosmology. And they, I mean, profound stuff that has literally changed the physics world. But one of the problems with our physics world is the whole quantum crap is what I'm calling it, because they can't agree on anything. Everybody's got the next, you know, new theory of reality, you know, from general relativity to string theory. And it's like, none of you guys can prove anything. It's just a bunch of math models and machines cranking out some incomprehensible gibberish in the form of symbols and letters that are supposed to mean something when you know how to look at them. It's like all these guys are doing is essentially, in my opinion, they're doing medieval metaphysics in modern day math magic. It's like you still haven't solved anything. You keep finding things that disprove your theories, like the James Webb Space Telescope is doing with the Big Bang and the age of the universe currently. And, you know, to me, this is one of my arguments when I get into an archaeology discussion is that.
Oh, don't start me on that one. Don't start me on that one.
All these people get so wound up. Right now, there's a big deal going on about Graham Hancock's latest Joe Rogan. And there's all these people on YouTube and elsewhere trying to debunk him once again. You know, oh, his stories are bullshit and it's made out of this and that and everything else. And they seem to be generally wound up about trying to protect their turf. Right. And if somebody independent goes in and starts poking around and finding stuff, and my point is that we are one turn of the spade from finding something that is going to completely change history. We've been doing that for the last 2 centuries at least. And it's like, why are you people, again, they've turned archaeology into archaeology because they can't, they all have to have their turf that they protect. And they guard it with, you know, vim and vigor and a lot of ad hominem shit tossed at people who are questioning the narrative. And I've seen people that I have great respect for, their research capabilities, their intellect, just go completely off the rail. And I'm watching them going, wait a minute. I used to think you had a very strong ability to think logic with reason and critical thinking, but you just went off the rails. And every one of them does that in some degree. some form or fashion at some point in their poking around of the subject matter. And I just, I just sit back and enjoy. I get a bag of popcorn and watch everybody start, hurling insults at each other. My facts are better than your facts.
Oh.
There's a guy on Facebook named Stephen Myers.
Oh, yes.
And he's big. His whole thing is that the pyramid was built as a water pump, and it was built as a water pump, built by using canals and stuff. And all he does, he's on this bent about the Orion correlation theory. And that's Robert Bauval's from his book about the pyramids are aligned to Orion's belt. And all this guy does is put up these memes that look like they were made in grade school. Fools are starting to realize that their logical fallacy of the Orion correlation theory is false. So I keep nobody responds to his shit but me. So I go on there and I say, well, come on my show and explain your whole water pump theory, and explain to me how Christopher Dunn, who was also just on Joe Rogan with his new book, how Christopher Dunn's engineering scientific method of determining that it was actually an acoustic energy device, not a water pump. Explain to me how his is worse than yours, that yours is superior. And all the guy does is deflect. He won't come on the show. He won't have a debate. And it's like, okay, well, you can keep, pushing your bullshit, but clearly nobody is buying it. And if you are pushing, 4 or 5 memes a day of this nonsense and nobody is even liking it, let alone sharing it, and I come on and challenge him all the time and nobody defends him, nobody challenges me.
Hey, you know what I find fascinating?
Enough of that bullshit.
Yeah. Hey, what I find fascinating is look at some of these Hindu temples. Now, I've got some photographs I've been going over a lot lately. Now, some of these columns inside these Hindu temples, they've been machined. You can tell they've been machined. They're
Easily.
They're perfectly round, and they're all uniform size. But what's even more fascinating is the intricate carvings that's on it. Now, be honest. I mean, can you imagine it? Hammer and chisel, right? Ta-da, which they say that's how they did it, but there they are, tapping away, you go, oh, right, I've got to start all over again now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the workmanship of it, it's not just a shape, but they're going in and around. There's a behind these parts they're carving out, and it's all smooth. It's like it's been lasered. That's the crazy thing about it. Everything is so spot on, and the polish on these columns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can't do that with a bloody hammer and chisel, mate. There's no way in the world.
Well, one of the
come on a lathe. It's done on a bloody lathe.
Or some other technology that we're unaware of. But I mean, we can't even build the pyramid today like Giza. Right?
Exactly.
And then you go down to Peru and you look at Sacsayhuamán.
You nearly swore.
I'd say that before your first cup of coffee is out. And Cusco, all of these, you look at these ways in which they clearly molded these stones. There's no way that they were carved out and then put together. They were molded. And give a better explanation of how they made them and how they form fitted. Some of them with over 20 angles in them that are perfectly designed. I'm sorry. We can't do anything like that today. So
it's like they turned granite into putty. You know what I mean? That's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah, Gerald and I were talking about the vitrification of stone that's all over the world. Well, how does that happen? How the hell does stone look like it actually melted? Because you can't explain it with any of the geology or material sciences we have today. So, to me, the evidence is obvious. The conclusion is obvious as a result of the obvious evidence. And all of this banter and bullshit that's going around in these communities is just irritating. And that's why I basically just turn it off and say, I am not going to participate in nonsense until somebody's got something new. Stephen Greer was interesting with some of his CE5 stuff, which think has actually got more to it than people are giving it credit for. But there's all kinds of bullshit around that too.
Yeah.
The whole disclosure movement, that started back in the late 90s in its current form, and it's morphed into all these different delineations. It's like,
well, it's morphed into an
it's
industry
great.
now.
There's all these experiencers and these, this personal testimony and, anecdotal evidence, but nobody seems to be able to come up with something that's concrete enough to convince everybody else. What does that say?
It's all speculation, mate. That's all I've been saying.
I heard you say that earlier, and I said, I think you've been listening to somebody I know.
Well, yeah, his name's Robert, actually. A bit of a dick, though, but but
hey, Neil.
He put me straight.
I see Neil's just joined the chat. Yeah, the cocoon only happens over there in the British Isles where the wankers are.
Yeah, come on. Hey, come on, Neil. Come and join us, mate. I'll send you a link, mate. I'll send you a link. Hey, you can do it off your phone, buddy. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can. Oh, send him. Yeah. No, let's give him a hard time. Come on. let's give Neil a hard time. Come on, Neil. Yeah, come on, Neil. You can do it, mate.
So I'm finding more interesting stuff going on in the energy field, which I think is going to be the next big transformation of our society and humanity as a whole. Communication, energy, and water in free forms and unlimited forms. We are about to see. We are going to see the revelation of reality in the form of energy, communication, and water, which is going to transform everything. Because if you have all of those available to each individual on a free basis, and they're from devices you can basically hold in your hand, that's going to completely transform everything that we do. It's going to liberate the individual. It's going to allow the creativity of self-organizing collectives of people of common interest. And I think that to me is the real exciting shit. Whether, who our overlords or cosmic cousins are that were involved in either navigating our evolution or being directly involved in it, that stuff's going to pop out and people are going to go, oh, I see that tin foil hat, black sheep, cousin, uncle, brother, sister, aunt really was dialed into this shit decades ago, and maybe we shouldn't have been so hard on them.
Yeah, mate. I've had people being hard on me many times, but I just laugh it off. For years. Actually, I hid away from it for a long, long time. You get to an age where you say, I don't give a shit anymore what people think.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn. I'm an old geezer now. You know what I mean? Why should I have to worry what other people think? All I can do is talk my own truths. You know what I mean? That's all I can do. I'm not out to convince anybody, but I'm willing to listen to other people, because if people out there have gone through what I've gone through, it's nice to have somebody to listen. And you know what I'm talking about there, Eric. Exactly. You get it all the time, mate.
Oh, of course. For some people, actually, a lot of people really fall apart for the first time, and they don't really know that it's going to happen because they hold it in for so long. And I just talked to a guy, been married 50 years plus, and he decided to reach out for the first time, talk to somebody about this, and his major goal was to tell his wife, prepare his mind, prepare his marriage, someone he shared a bed with, a home with, a dinner table with for 50 years. He finally mustered up. And I mean, that's how taboo this stuff was for his generation. Thankfully, there's no generation. And I don't think they're doing a good job with it, but it really is the ability to reach out, get it off your chest, because it kills you inside. Even pilots, these guys are tough. They go through training. all kinds of stuff. They can't report this kind of thing. I mean, it's getting around to the point where they are now. But shortly before, they were scouring the internet because they just wanted to talk to somebody and not be ratted out, and made fool out of. But it's extremely important to have the conversation, man. It really is.
Yeah, totally agree. And I know to have this platform or any platform that you can actually speak up, I mean, it helps. It does help. I mean, it's like getting problems off your chest. It's like you just need to kind of, hey, it's like clearing the cobwebs out the cupboard. I mean, hey, I've said it now. That's it. It's out in the open. I don't give a shit what you think. Blah blah blah. Yeah, but and it is, and people have got to understand nothing to be scared of, nothing to be afraid of. I mean, who gives a shit what anybody? Excuse my vulgarity. Look, it's just the way it is. It's a shame our people are treated like bloody idiots because they've experienced something. And if that's the case, they wouldn't listen to people in courts. Oh yeah, I saw the murder, blah blah, or you're a witness. But they'll listen to that. But anything significant like, hey, I've seen an alien, I've seen this, he's a no. Look what happened to was it bloody Travis Walton, disappeared for a week. All his mates got bloody accused of suspected murder, right? They didn't want to listen to their story that he was hit by an alien being. That was just too much for them. So they put him as suspected murderers. Classic example. They rather want to believe that they've done Travis Walton then, rather than to believe the fact that it was an alien spacecraft. Crazy, isn't it? But yet, Travis Walton turns up a week later. He's had so many what they call lie detectors, you name it, psychologists. You know Travis Walton personally, Eric. You know his story. And it's like
yeah,
we actually exactly. It's how can I put it? It's really hard to kind of express that people just want to believe what they want to believe, but if it doesn't fit in their frame of seeing things, you're full of bullshit, and they don't want to know. You're crazy because they don't want to know. Personally, I put up them that are just afraid, and it's the religious dogma that they've actually been fed in their head. Honestly, it's
well, back in the 90s, I had this realization that the whole and I made it, my prediction was that religions would be exposed for the fallacy that they are within 50 years. So we're now 30 years basically from when I made that original prediction, and we're watching it unfold now. I was, I had a Christian ministry back in the 80s. I used to go around and sing and preach and beat people over the head with the Bible at youth authorities, rest homes, and prisons.
Yeah.
And I know where that motivation and that psychology comes from and how powerful it can be. But I found out because the more I experienced, the more questions I had, the more questions I had, the less answers they got or had. And eventually we all came down to, well, you just got to believe, brother. You got to have faith. And it's like, the previous answers were questionable enough, but if that's your last answer, then I got to move on, find something else.
Hey, by the way, Gerald, I sent you a friend's request, mate. Not friend's request, an invite. So check your mail, mate. Did I say friends? Because what did I say that for? What?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I
don't have friends.
Yeah.
No.
Who did you send that to?
Gerald or Gerald, whatever you want to call him.
Gerald. Yeah, I think he's just woke up.
Yeah, that's right. But just let him know he has an invite in his email. So, as always send invites to my friends. Well, I do have friends, really. I'm a silly dick, really am. Oh God,
I've got to get to the mess.
What was that, Eric?
I just wanted to say it's great hanging out with you guys this morning, but I've got to get to the morning messages. But take care. Hopefully, we can hang out.
Yep, anytime, Eric. Catch you later, buddy. Have a good one.
Take care, Eric.
Thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Bye now. Oh yeah. So anyway, so what's your prognosis then? So you're really going for Rumble now, are you?
Well, at the moment, yeah. I mean, the capabilities are great. The thing that, then last night we went back into Zoom, and Zoom's done a whole shitload of updates. It's got AI built in like Riverside, but the thing that I'm noticing, Gerald and I are seeing this at the same time. The video and audio quality in Zoom and Rumble way outstrips StreamYard and even Riverside.
I know it's richer in color.
The video is just amazing, and the audio is amazing on both Zoom and Rumble. We did a test live stream Saturday night, and we were on for 7 hours on 4 different platforms: YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, to 5 different channels, 2 YouTube, 1 Rumble, 1 Facebook, and 1 X. And we had we had 3 different guests come in at different times. They just all of a sudden had the opportunity to do that. And then we had the last guest actually did a live stream and played music with his guitar and his backing tracks. And it came through. All the audio was great. So
yeah,
I haven't seen StreamYard be able to do this. I haven't seen this kind of quality from anyone else except for Zoom. And then last night I jump into Zoom and it's like, oh, look at all these new features. They got all this amazing shit. They added the captions, just like Riverside. They've got all of these capabilities of formats where you can put people in different positions on the screen, backgrounds, all that shit that you kind of looked at Zoom and went, well, you guys are designed for meetings and you do a hell of a good job with that. But now they added all these additional features. So everybody's out there in this streaming platform world. They're all trying to upgrade and update and get, compete with one another, because there's so much to be done and people that are trying to do out there. So your question is Rumble right now? Yes. Because
I've got a problem with Rumble. It won't allow me to use Mr.B. And I tried to use my own name, full name. It won't allow. But allow me to put a stupid name in like Crunchit.
Well, you just need. That's only because somebody else got there before you.
Winkers. I mean, even though I put Mr.B. Truth Seekers, they won't allow you so many characters. Don't allow you so many characters.
I haven't had any problems like that.
But you're using your name or just Nexus, basically.
Well, I'm using the Nexus Nextcast, and then Gerald's got Midwest Night Watchers, Midwest Sky Watchers, Geezer Geeks, and then another one. But he's got all of those.
I like the Geezer Geeks.
Yeah. Well, he's got one Rumble ID. But you can put a whole bunch of channels underneath that ID.
All right. Okay.
Which
I can still put use Crunchit. Okay. I'll use Crunchit then. That's just a name, isn't it?
They're all changing just rapidly, because everybody's trying to compete, because now all of a sudden you've got these expert functionality systems in what they call AI, which is the wrong term, but that's a different subject. But they're all enhancing their capabilities because it's a bunch of competition.
Yeah.
Right now, Rumble and Zoom own the audio video capability. Rumble is killing it on the streaming because it's apparently you can put up to 10 different simultaneous streams on one show. You can't even do that with StreamYard.
No, true. True.
And the aggregated chat,
and the more you want to do, the more expensive it's going to be with StreamYard.
Well, and Rumble is free.
Well, they are.
So it's hard to beat. You can complain about, well, the chat doesn't quite work where you have it aggregated. It's like, well, how hard is it to open up your chat window on your other streams and have that on your desktop?
Can I ask a question here on this one?
Yeah.
With Rumble, can you actually do your show in two parts, like a record and then live simultaneous, like one straight after the other?
No, you set up a live session and then you can have your guests come in if you want before you go live.
How do you
hit record? As soon as you hit record in Rumble, it immediately starts streaming.
Okay, so how do you actually do an intro, or don't you have an intro?
I think intros are bullshit. I'm so tired of those things.
Okay,
it's like, to me, I'd rather just get into the damn show.
Yeah, fair enough.
Most of the people that I watch don't have any intros. They just get right into they might have a little logo spin or something at the beginning, and then boom, they're right into the.
How do you manage to get the logo spin in there? Have you worked
Well,
out
Rumble you can put a video as a placeholder before you go live, and it will show that the show's upcoming.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's just like notification. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. You can put either a placeholder as an image or a video. So I've got a little video that I made in Canva of Geezer Geeks, and it's like 5 seconds. And I loaded that video, and it just sits there and replays until I hit the record button.
Right. Okay. Sweet. I'll have to come into you Geezer Geeks and work through it with you guys.
Well, if you would, we tried to get your ass in last.
But I haven't been well. I mean, not
well. I understand and I appreciate that, and you need to get well, but don't complain about not getting in on the show or us taking over your show when you're not showing up.
Okay, everybody, do you see the crap I have to put up with now? Do you see this crap I have to put up with? I mean, it's bad enough I put up with my wife telling me, "You're not eating, you're not doing this, you're not doing that."
Well. You know the characters that come on here, and that's the default. You are going to get copious amounts of shit because that's what we do.
Yeah, that's why we're friends, isn't it? I can give it to. That's the good part of it. It's good to give it. Good to give it. All right. Well, it doesn't look like Gerald is coming in. I think he's still waking up, as he says. So
he's got to go out and take care of the birds and get all this stuff done. My dogs are standing behind me going, "Hey, where's the milk bone? You sat down and all of a sudden you got consumed on this computer thing you're always doing." So they're wondering why they haven't been attended to. So
I've got a new joke for you, mate. Okay, this seedy joke. When is it okay to punch a midget or a dwarf in the face?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's when he stands next to your wife and says, "Gee, your hair smells nice."
Yeah, that's. I don't know that I would punch that. I think I would laugh hysterically.
Yeah, they're good ones, mate. They're good ones. I thought that was funny. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm a sick puppy. Anyway, let's call it quits. I've been on just over 2 hours now, so it's
I got to go get my day started. This completely discombobulated my schedule for the day.
Yeah, well, I will join you this
weekend. Thank you very much, asshole.
Yes, it's okay, Dick. No, and I'll join you. Extraordinary gentleman this weekend. So
awesome.
It's an extraordinary circle of misfits. That's what it is.
Well, it is that for sure.
Anyway, that's how I've been greeting people to my Facebook these days. Welcome to my circle of misfit friends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And look, thank you, everybody, for joining the Beehive and joining my Facebook channel. I really love it. Head to don't forget to like and subscribe, not just to me, but to Nextcast there, to Robert's channel. And I will later on put your link under this show.
Thanks, sir.
And I will
Appreciate
put there. And for everybody, go and chase up Professor Bauer at Nexus Nextcast, and also too sign up. Tickle this little button here, the like and subscribe. More the merrier. We're like just one big happy family here, and you come along. We're willing to use and abuse anytime. So anyway, love you all. Hey, be nice, be kind. If you can't be kind, well, piss off. That's all I say. Hey, have a good one. Thank you for joining me, Robert. Much appreciated, mate. Have a good one.
You're welcome, my friend. Anytime.
Bye bye now.